gang, what's happening? Welcome to another video. Welcome to this crazy 4 weeks weather, man. It has been raining like crazy for the past few days, or maybe even weeks, but yeah, it is what it is. I wanted to make a video about some of the things that you want to have in this car, or even the 440i, if you want to buy it used. So it's more like a used 340 440i guide. It's not going to be anything crazy though. It's not going to be mechanical, so I'm not going to be telling you about like some of the problems you might experience, some of the things you need to look out for when you want to buy this car. It's more about the features that you need to make sure you have in the car that you buy. So basically, when you look out for this car or the 440i, you need to make sure that you have these features. Otherwise, you're gonna have a difficult time living with it, or even like retrofitting it, because it's a BMW. You can retrofit many of these things, but most of the time it gets a bit too expensive and it takes some time. So it's better to do it right at the beginning and make sure that the car that you buy is specced correctly. So if I was to buy this car again, I would make sure that I have these 5 features. So the first one is the MPPSK, or the M Performance and Power Kit, right? So with this package, you get a power boost and one of the craziest exhausts that you get in the F generation. Honestly, to me, it even sounds better than like the proper M cars, right? So the MPPSK, you get a stage 1 tune. Basically, your car moves to 265 kilowatts and 500 newton meters of torque. So this is basically like a competition version of the 340i, if I may call it that. I mean, it comes limited from factory with the 240 kilowatts and 450 newton meters, because we know the B58 in cars like the M240 comes with 250 kilowatts and 500 newton meters of torque. And in X3s, it comes with the 265 kilowatts and the 500 newton meters of torque. So basically, with this package or this kit, you get that power bump, and you get an insane exhaust. That exhaust sounds insane. So you need to make sure that you get the car with this kit. Why? It's because if you buy it, you can buy it from BMW even now, even though these cars are discontinued. You can go to them and buy it, and you could buy it alone back then when these cars are new. The problem is that it's very expensive. Right now, BMW is selling it for more than 50,000 rands, basically. So it's insanely expensive to get it aftermarket. And you can also get other exhaust, other aftermarket exhaust. But for me, it comes with some trade-offs. The car will be classified as modified, so you're probably going to lose your warranty, and you're going to be affected when it comes to the insurance premium. So they're probably going to bump it up because it's now a modified car. And they are also expensive. Like aftermarket exhaust systems will cost you above 30,000 rands, and then you also have to tune it to stage 1 to get to 265 kilowatts and that 500 newton meters of torque. So it's better to do it. It's better to get a car that already has those things, because the car is still classified as stock. Meaning you're not going to be affected insurance and warranty wise, and you get one of the best exhaust. So yeah, the MPPSK is very important, man. What you can also do, if you don't want to get or if you already got the car without an MPPSK, and this is something that I'm going to do to this car, is you can get a downpipe and delete your 2 resonators. So the car is going to sound very nice, and apparently there's no drone. So that's it for the MPPSK. Make sure you get a car with, make sure you get this car or the 440i with the MPPSK. You're gonna enjoy it like crazy. You can spot it by a sticker on the engine that says, I think, M Performance or something. And they also have the M Performance tips So the second one is the iDrive system. So the iDrive is obviously the BMW's infotainment system, and it comes in versions and numbers. To get these cars, you need to make sure that you get them with iDrive 4 or 6, right? So don't get it with iDrive 4 because you're not gonna be able to install things like CarPlay, right? You'll be able to retrofit it and like code it and stuff, and I will discuss this a bit later. But you like stock iDrive 4 doesn't support CarPlay, right? So basically, cars that are gonna have iDrive 5 and 6 are mostly gonna be 2018 and upwards. And when you test drive them, you can go through the operating system to see or to check the versions. But one of the first things that you see these iDrive versions is the look and feel. They look more modern than iDrive 4, and you can see them with things like tiles, right? So on the home screen you have tiles. iDrive 5 has smaller tiles, while iDrive 6 has bigger tiles, and they look more blue. So basically they look more modern. They look more like phones or like desktop operating systems, while iDrive 4 it's just like a list, right? It looks like all the BMWs. So make sure you get them with iDrive 5 and 6 if you wanna use CarPlay. So the whole point of iDrive 5 and 6 is to be able to use CarPlay, meaning to be able to have things like your Waze, your Google Maps, your Spotify, and all of those things on your screen instead of having to put your phone, like mounting it and all those annoying things, especially in South Africa where they can smash and grab it. So like I said, you can retrofit it or you can code it, but it's also expensive. So what you can do if your car is iDrive 4 like my car, is you can go to Beamer Tech or Beamer Code, I forgot what they call them, and then you can code it in. Basically you buy a license and then someone tunes in and codes it in for you, right? Obviously you need a few things like an adapter or a dongle that you're gonna connect to your car for them to be able to to tune it, and a laptop and all those things. But the most important thing is that it will cost you extra money. So I think the license is like 10 grand, and you also have to deal with the risks that come with coding. So maybe it's not going to be as good as it is stock. Maybe it's not going to be as stable, and there are also other risks. So it's much better to buy a car that already has those things, because you don't get to touch anything. If something happens and you have warranty, you're not going to get them like crying saying we're not going to pay out because this and this. So yeah, iDrive 5 and 6, man, gets a car with those if you want to use CarPlay. You're never going to get Android Auto in this car if you want to go OEM, because BMW started with CarPlay. So you're only going to get Apple CarPlay. And the other thing, if you're going to go with the retrofitting route, is you're also going to have to install an antenna somewhere inside the dashboard, because BMW back then, and I think even now, they only do wireless CarPlay. So make sure you get ID6 and ID5. That's what they call them in short. The third one is your headlights, but you need to make sure that you get these cars with LED headlights. So when the car was new, you could spec it in with 3 different headlights. You could get it with halogens. Yes, halogens in a top of the range BMW in 2019. That's kind of disappointing, but for some reason you could get it with halogens, and I think you can still get some BMWs with halogens. You could also get it with the LEDs. So the LEDs, those are the ones that come with the nice angel eyes DRLs. And then the third version was adaptive LED. So basically it's the same as the normal LED lights, but they are adaptive. Problem with these halogen headlights, I have halogens in my car, is that they are not very good at night. They are not very good lights, and it makes sense. I mean, technology has moved on so far ever since the introduction of lights, and to still have halogen lights is just insane. So at night they are not that visible, and it's very annoying. The DRLs or the daylights are not so bad because you get those two dots, which you get with modern BMWs anyway. So it's not a deal breaker. The only problem is the quality of the actual light. It's very bad. And the other problem with the 340s, I'm not sure if it's the same with 440s, is that in the LCI, it's not so easy to retrofit like LEDs, because you need things like modules. You also need like different wiring and stuff like that. So it's not gonna be easy to like switch to like something like LED. Right. So it's better to go with the LEDs when you purchase the cars, and then you're gonna have it as you want it. All right, the fourth one is Harmann Kardon. This is very critical, and it's very tricky because most people don't know that. Like, again, when you bought this car, there were three possible hi-fi versions. You got the stock hi-fi, right? You could get the car with the stock hi-fi, and then you could get it with Harmann Kardon hi-fi. And then there was the third option, which is the top of the range Harmann Kardon sound system. I think it's called the Harmann Kardon Professional or something. I'll put the option code on the screen. So the difference between the two Harmann Kardons is that the Harmann Kardon Hi-Fi, or the lower end one, is it has a less powerful amplifier, and then it has less speakers. Right. So the less powerful amplifier means that you max it out when you want to play it out when you want to play your music very loud, you have to max it because it's not as powerful as the top end one. And in many cases, and I've seen this happen in other F series car, is that when it's hot and you're playing music very loud, because the volume is super high, it overheats, and then you have to turn it off for like 30, 20, 10 minutes. And that's obviously not a nice experience. But and it also has less speakers, so it has 12 speakers instead of the 16 speakers in the higher end one. So the high end Harmann Kardon, you have a much bigger amplifier, which is super powerful. This thing is so loud that it's almost impossible to max it out. I swear the loudest I can play it is like 80%, and even then I'm just gonna play like 2 songs, and then my ears just start to hurt, and it's just too much. Meaning the risk of of its overheating and stuff are much lower. And then you get more speakers. You get 16 speakers, and the surround sound effect is much better. The sound is clearer. The bass is much more punchy. So I would make sure that I get the top end Harmann Kardon, because it's much nicer. It's for me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And I think you also get a hard drive. I'm not sure if you also get a hard drive in the mid level one, but with this one you get a hard drive as well. So make sure you get the top dock Harmann Kardon if you really like listening to music. And the last one, is also another obvious one, but I feel like it's worth discussing because most people are not really sure what you get with it. Number 5 is the M Sport package, right? So the M Sport package is more than cosmetics. Yeah, with M Sport the suspension is also tweaked a bit, but the most critical thing is that the steering wheel is different. Right, if you don't get M Sport, you're gonna get that ugly plastic triangular looking steering wheel that I absolutely hate. But if you get M Sport, you're gonna get this beautiful steering wheel that looks much more sporty. It looks a bit more like in the M3s and M4s, just without this little opening on the bottom spoke. Obviously, you can retrofit most of the cosmetic stuff. Suspension, there's nothing you can do unless you really like do work on our suspension, like installing springs and all those things. But in terms of retrofitting the M Sport package, most of the things that you can do are cosmetics, like the bumpers and the side skirts and the steering wheel. You can probably get it a non OEM one that looks like this, or just get the same one from like the scrapyard or something like that. But obviously that comes with some risks. For example, with those kits, there's a risk of the quality of the parts and the labor, right? And they cost a lot. They're not very cheap, and you also have to pay for labor, and you also have to pay with the most important thing, which is your time. But if you like the car and you like working on it, it's probably not gonna be a big issue for you. But yeah, man, make sure you get this car with the M Sport package. So this car and the 440i, it looks much better. It looks much more aggressive. And honestly, when you look at the steering wheel, it's a no-brainer. And if you get it with the bigger M Sport brakes like mine, those blue calipers, it also helps. It also helps when you drive it, in the back roads, when you drive it fast and stuff. And I guess if you get like a 300 plus straight six engine car, you're probably gonna drive it fast. That's it from me. Just like the video, subscribe, and show some love. And then if I missed anything, leave it in the comments. I'm gonna check you out in the next video.